All right. So here I am once again trying this podcast thing again. And yeah, I'm smoking, I'm drinking, chilling, and it's free. A lot of things I've been thinking about. I've been catching a lot of these little clips. I haven't quite structured them in a way where I can really get this down to a really Trump type broadcast, but yeah, we're gonna work with this one and see how this works with. For any of you that are out there that are happen to catch me on Facebook, I am strangely not capable of posting or seeing the post on there. I have to follow on my phone, and I do so just because. Well, so this is WNDC, NDC. WNDC and DC stands for We in the Crib and You Ain't. I'm really not trying to do this because I'm trying to blow up or get a whole bunch of this, that, and the other. Really, honestly, I'm not sure what I'm trying to do with these things, especially times like that, nights like this. I've just hit play and here we are. So with all that being said, I think I want to change the music. Oh. All right. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be same thing again. Oh, gee. So anywho, so I'm gonna try to check out that. I'm also going to play around on live. I think I'm gonna go live. You know. I think while I'm doing that, I'm gonna give you some reading material, some listening material. Hopefully, you'll pick up or listen to some of this. So here we go.
I'm not addicted to this, to the life. You know what? I'm addicted to having to have what it is that I need, and by any means, and I know my qualifications can get it. But I am addicted to the point that knowing that I can go get it this way. That turns me on. Knowing that I can go get it this way. That turns me on. That if I have to, I can bust it wide and go get it.
Bust it, baby.
It's that they have no goals or that they are not the type of material that would make a good wife, a good mother, a good housekeeper, a good person, that they are nothing, that they're trash. And I think people are very misunderstood, that it takes a hell of a woman, the heart of a gunslinger, to do what it is that they do. The heart of a gunslinger to do what it is that they do. And it does not take away from the fact if they can cook, if they can clean, or if they will be loyal to you. That's right.
How do you think living this lifestyle for the years you have has changed you?
It's changed me in the sense that now it was hard to feel real, true sexual emotion until I had to back off of it a little bit. And it changes you that when somebody like making love or having sex with somebody and it's not about business, it feels different. When somebody like making love or having sex with somebody and it's not about business, it feels different. It feels so different. It's like you come to a point where you have to separate the two, and it's really a mental thing.
Ooh.
And it feels different. It feels so different.
All right.
It's like you come to a point where you have to separate the two, and it's really a mental thing. And it changed me because I have to learn how to feel that way again. It's something, this ain't no godly thing, but it's just something that has to grow, and it's something that you have to overcome. And that's how it's changing, because separating one touch from the other one, trying to feel, you can.
Breaks your psyche?
Yeah.
Okay. While I wasn't quite prepared to go directly into that old subject and whatnot, I took these snippets from little interviews from street folks and older folks that now are trying to transition into what their life is about. In a lot of ways, I often compare those things to a lot of what I hear in a lot of today's trending podcasts and their comments and stuff from a lot of the more millennial people out there. And as a late boomer, I compare the two just vividly in my own imagination, because what I found more than anything else is how difficult it is for me to be able to express any form or fashion of anything that really is coming out of my mouth or out of my mind or trying to explain. It's hard to explain to a millennial how no TV, no radio was involved. We had to do cursive when things that are just so commonplace today, and yet people just can't fathom it. And I can't blame them for it, but it's become one of the number one problems that we've had. When we talk about dating and this new dating world and whatnot, a lot of what you just heard with, them talking about how, the spirit of the hustle has found its way into the strongest of our strongest independent sisters and whatnot. And yet, it's difficult to actually explain to someone that while nobody's trying to knock your hustle or trying to beat you down or this, that, and the other, these are things that you're really going to have to understand that are just, what it is. And, we find ourselves in this new world where no matter what kind of income you're trying to, claim that you're looking for in a mate, the same fate comes in the same kind of state of how do you make a house husband or wife when they have not even mastered or even had a concern for partnership, or the understanding of how any of that works. They have gotten so spoiled with a lot of the options that they have now that didn't exist back in the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s, and yet that's not their problem today, they would say. And yet they're still trying to volley and demand the standards and structure into which was set in those statements. I want a good man. I want this, that, and the other. All of those things that they're asking for in a 2000 mindset, but they're looking for the epiphany of the image of a 1950s lifestyle. And for people of color, it makes it even worse because even though that looks good and everything, even in black and white TV, the reality is that that's not the way we looked in 1950s. There might have been a few handfuls here and there, sporadic municipalities, but not everywhere. And we're in a state now where everybody wants to believe that they're just as privileged, to have that. And yet, the more that you try to say it, the more that they don't want to hear it. And, it's painful. I understand it's painful. It's painful to the mere fact that for many of them, they feel that they can't.
I really do.
It weakens you as your I guess your soul gets beaten down, and then it's hard to even be able to accept anything better, right?
Yeah, you're right. Because of the treatment that a lot of men, most men out there have, that you're only here for one reason.
You can't be used and abused every night, and then all of a sudden,
right,
accept a better life.
Right. How can you be treated like a tool, and then in the second breath have someone look at you,
especially
and say,
when in many of those cases
they really love you? How can
your intent was not necessarily to
like
be in a love thing?
tool,
you might have just been out
and then
trying to blame it on
in the
alcohol.
second breath have someone look at you and say,
but we have
really
to come
love
to grips with
How could
understand.
How could you truly believe that? What would give you that belief when
we
it's
really
the same
honestly
species?
are hustling backwards?
They really love you. How could you?
How
could you truly believe that? What would give you that belief when it's the same species?
That's
a man. Do you understand me?
That's a reward. You see that every now and then in your life.
Is going to stick around and stick with you through this. In the second breath, have someone look at you and say, they really love you. How could you truly believe that? What would give you that belief when it's the same species?
We've gone through so much, especially through the whole crack era.
It takes the kind of man
sticking it out just don't work.
It takes the kind of man
all of us have to have a certain
going
level
to stick around
self-preservation
with you through this,
so that when you wish to have someone to stick around,
this is what you have done.
You have to understand that there's
having you to have faith in yourself with the faith that they're gonna give you. You can't do it by yourself. Yeah. You're not going to.
Yeah, finding somebody who's got that.
It's gonna take the because you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You're
this
not
is
going
the deep
to.
part, though.
Finding somebody who's got that.
It's gonna take the same thing that made you feel bad to make you feel good.
Yeah.
And therein lies a lot of
faith in yourself with the faith that they're gonna give you.
And
help you grow out of it.
Give folks faith. You have to have faith
because you can't do it by yourself. You're not going to.
Yeah, finding somebody who's got that.
It's gonna take the same thing that made you feel bad.
Somebody
I got.
Somebody in there saying, "Hey, thank you for saying hey."
Help you grow out of it because you can't do it by yourself. You're not going to.
Yeah, finding somebody who's got that.
It's gonna take the same thing that made you feel bad to make you feel good.
Yeah. Same.
And somebody's gonna have the patience to ride that out with you is gonna be hard to find, right?
Man,
probably by far one of the more
you're gonna need the
complicated things to actually think about it. That we can't keep running from what hurt us when we have to realize,
a man. Yeah. You're gonna need the same one that
we got people in therapy that need therapy that,
you need a man.
Tell people, it's not gonna be okay. It's all right. We've got to be gladiators.
I don't think many people understand that.
It's really difficult for people to try to expect to find it in these broadcasts or these podcasts. I don't
respect all men. Of these I just now know
it's just
what to look for in signs of the predator and signs of the king. I can differentiate.
Use your intuition.
But you, okay.
There's many people out there that can say, "Oh, I want a king. I want
now I can tell
this, that, and the other." But yet,
when before
you are conditioned to basically be attracted to a predator type thing.
And just
If
because
people
I have
don't
something,
prey upon you to get your
I
attention,
don't have
then
to
you don't
use it
pay
as a
attention to
tool,
them. And
meaning
that's
my
why
tits,
most
my
people
ass, and my pussy.
find themselves,
I've learned that
bumping right back into
I'm
the same
worthy.
predatory kind of
And
sociality,
just because I have something,
and yet,
I don't have to use it as a tool, meaning my
know.
tits, my ass, and my pussy. That I can come higher
it's
with
really
my brain.
been this
I'm worthy. And just because I have something,
because
I don't have to use it as a tool.
we've been
my
taught,
tits, my ass, and
through
my
our
pussy,
society that,
that I can come higher with my brain.
because we've got all of this and we've got all of that,
then
they have to do this and they have to do that.
Anything that
It's not
you
working.
do,
It's still not
when
working.
you did it for a means
For most people out there, they're playing
and I've
the
learned to
dating
not
game.
be
They do that
ashamed
merely
of
because
anything that
you
I've
get
done.
more
And that my
sporadic attention
todays
than
and my
you do having to
yesterdays,
work
they can be
through
my
the
business,
whole
but I can
thing
share
with
with
the
the
first
world.
or the last
Don't
person
be
that you ever
ashamed
decide to be with.
Learn
And,
something from it. And I've learned to not be ashamed of anything that I've done. And that my todays and my yesterdays, they can be my business, but I can share with the world. Don't be ashamed of it.
Can't be.
Learn something from it.
I can't even imagine where at what point in our race that we start to adapt these bashful black people.
And that my todays and my yesterdays,
bragful
they can be my business, but I can share with the world.
I still
Don't be
get my freedoms.
ashamed of it.
And
learn something from it. And whenever you have to do it, you can call it what you want to.
Yeah.
But you got to survive and try to mend myself through it. And all men, they're not bad men, but you got to survive. And I've learned how to survive and try to mend myself through it. And I've learned how to survive and try to mend myself through it. And all men, they're not bad men. You just have to learn what it is that you want to accept and how you want to do it.
And you're also going to have to understand.
I call myself, I'm an opportunist. Because I'm going to tell you, before I go out in the dark, before I can't feed my kids, before I can't buy tissue, I'll make the decision with no shame.
And therein lies.
So do what you want to do. You don't have to do
where the problem is, because see,
you don't have to do it for no reason. Have a very good reason for decisions that you make.
Being transparent
do what you want to do.
and
don't
purposeful
have no shame about it.
has become quite
you don't
difficult.
Have to do
We're now in this dating world where
you don't have to do it for no
we
reason.
tend to attract certain people who are attracted to a certain thing. And then I've had my attractions to a few people here and there.
You don't have to do it for no reason.
It's obvious that what I'm attracted to them is for the stamina, for the strength of knowing that they've literally survived some deep stuff, and yet look at them and the state that they are, and and be in awe. I don't want the princess, this, that, and the other. This equally yoked thing gets real uncomfortable when people try to put on a facade as to how they believe them to be now. And so they want this now. And once again, that puts us back into that whole little, how you make a whole house husband or housewife. When technically speaking, you just need partners. We need to be in something purposeful. And this is not something that needs to be in a relationship status. We need to be in this mindset from a community standpoint. We need to be understanding that if we don't start honing those kind of things, and there'll be other people that won't do it for us and our children. And maybe somewhere down the line, you might find someone, to call a partner or a mate. But if you're not on that purposeful thing enough to actually impress more people than the predatory folks that are just looking for you as you're looking for attention, then it's going to make it very difficult for a lot of good people who are looking for good people, who are having bad intentions online, wherever else. Can't come to Jesus with nothing because, he's a man too, and they don't need no man. And You know, I prepared a few other little sound bites that apparently just didn't take. I don't know what's going on with my little thing. It could be a cable, it could be the unit. But I think what I want to just say here is that in a lot of cases, a lot of people, especially your younger adults, I'm talking about the people that are following all of this, new trending talk and whatnot. They got kids and even grandkids or whatnot, and yet they haven't gotten to, the AARP card yet. But uh and really just understand something here as people of color. Um we've never was expected as a whole race of people to be this free as a full mass of people. There are too many of us that, like every other race of people that are out there, that have these privileges and have no intent whatsoever of doing anything good for themselves or anyone else. They just want to be what they are. We used to call it, shuffling and whatnot. I often just wish that we could, wow, I even got myself recorded coughing. That's hot. Yeah. Everybody went crazy about the verses between, the Ozzy brothers and all of that. And he was like, look at these smooth pimp daddies and this, that, and the other, and not realizing that, well, there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of protocol and pedigree and whatnot that comes with this. And in too many cases, while many of us older people are trying not to offend a lot of the younger people, there's a lot of things that they're missing, just like how Megan was missing the formal training of what used to be how to learn how to curtsy and all this other stuff. And she didn't know, or mama didn't know. My mama was trying to get away from all of that old debutante stuff because she didn't want her daughter to be raised to be a peasant. She wanted her daughter to be raised as a princess, but there was no princess training church, and we really honestly are stuck with that right now. I don't know why. I can't really get a lot of the other things out from my little unit over here, but just flying by the seat of my pants right now, man. I think I'm going to make this a 2-cigarette video. Just because, well, I'm not sure who's out there feeling this, and I know I'm going to come back a little bit better once I am capable of actually being able to see if anyone comes over to my YouTube and subscribes and likes and shares and comments. Give me some understanding or whatnot of what it is that you're seeing and if it's getting better as I do it. And I'll try to do it more. Yeah, I really need to get this whole system down to where it needs to be. But yeah. So with all that being said, man, I'm not going to stay on here long. I think a lot of what I want to say here is the mere fact that here it is, 2021. And as this world is coming back open and we're trying to find a new and trying to basically, do something that's never been done in our society before. That's be equally free and allowed to be more progressive and supportive of humanity as a whole, and not just your whole in humanity. And a lot of that's also requires many of us to actually do some personal soul searching to understand that we're on a bipolar planet, suffering with the mere fact that we are in tune with something that's already doing something else, that it's messing up our biorhythms. It's messing up our ability to do that. We're looking on the feeds now. We're starting to notice if it ain't some regular old ghetto trash drama that's got us going for weeks at upon time, then it's all of this current trending traumatic domestic terrorist and even mental health kind of issue of people trying to die by cop or whatnot, and You know, we've got a lot of people that are trying to end it because they're being punks about this. They're feeding into everything but faith that if you just really honestly get yourself together, you know, the whole mental health practice is about hysterics, you know, and yet, you know, the one thing that we used to know that used to exist when people got hysterical is they would, thanks, I needed that, you know, snap out of it. You're hysterical. And we can't do that. That's abuse. And yet we've been trying everything from BDSM to medication, and it's not working. We have to honestly each by each person and sit back and go, you know, while it's become easier for you to be an imperfect person, you know, it's definitely not advisable for you to stay in the imperfect lane. At least be more perfect of an imperfect person, involved, you know, as evolving. Because one thing I've learned for sure is that, you know, people say life is short, but life is really long, especially when you really honestly are not necessarily trying to make improvements, to evolve, to excel to a higher level, to be not just elderly but wise. And that's not something you could just, you know, I'm going to do it because I'm just, no, that's not going to happen. People will recognize game only when you are really true to not just the game that you try to live with in your own little personal Idaho, but the mere fact that, you know, we're not going to be able to make more hoes, good housewives and good house husbands until we understand that we've got more good hoes in our race than most, and that's not a bad thing. But man, this is WNDC, NDC. Stands for We in the Crib and You Ain't, and so I can smoke if I want to. And this is the 2 cigarette video. And I'm gonna let this be what it's gonna be. It's not even gonna make it to 30. And I'm just gonna wish all of y'all the best of whatever. And if by chance you're able to slide a donation, because nothing says thank you like cash in my Cash App, I definitely appreciate it, being that we're still not working in this COVID society. And, well, be good to each other. Most of all, be better to yourself.